My name is Aaron, and I grew up in the world of metal. In fact, it's the only thing I ever really cared about in terms of music. But you know what, recently, I've wanted something a little bit different. Oh, what is this? A bonus video. Yes, I had a few extra minutes, so I figured, you know what? While we do, why don't we check out V's newest song called Slow Dancing? And, my personal opinion of V is that, and I've said this for a long time, is that he is what I would call the flex position, in the NFL. If you don't watch football, basically, it's someone who can basically play like quarterback, running back, wide receiver, a bunch of other stuff. Basically, he's good at everything, so you can kind of put him anywhere. So I'm actually pretty interested to see how he handles things in a solo sense. So let's check it out, shall we? Make myself just a smee. Okay, let's check it out.
It's about time we get it straight. Give me a minute if it ain't too late. 대충 무리 없나 봐, babe. 애만 깊으면 해친다. 버티기가 이만큼 힘든데. Stay with me till the end of the day. Maybe we could be slow dancing until the morning. We could be romancing the night away. Yeah. Turning me up and back up like this. What do you want? Do you not like it? Stop teasing me, girl. 나의 매일매일 my heart out here. 날 찍고 올라가. 다시 새로 누군가 그리워되지. 닮았던 우리가 먼 이유 같은 날. Maybe we could be slow dancing until the morning. We could be romancing the night away. Yeah.
Huh. Okay. Interesting. Okay, this song was insane to me. There's a lot that I want to kind of go over, so I'm going to try and be as brief as possible. Written in A flat major. Interesting thing about that is that is a very common chord used in when it's written in A flat major. Very common in jazz. So when I started hearing the jazz flute go off, I thought to myself, okay, this makes sense. And so there's a couple things that I want to point out, and I'm going to try and be as detailed as possible. Starts off, I want to say it's an Ionian mode, but I could be wrong about that. If I am, please let me know. But I love because it starts out bright. His voice is very poppy. It's like
It's about time we get
one thing. Notice the drums or the percussions and the bass. They work together even though they actually have two spots that are written separately. And he's kind of like got this like, it's almost like a wood block or like a cowbell. And he's doing kind of this like offbeat hand thing going on. And then the bass is just kind of walking all over the place. Okay, this part right here is huge. So he's been doing kind of this nice little broken up section of his voice. Then when he hits here, it gives you this like smooth lengthening of the music, of his notes, and I think that this is so perfect because his voice has just got the perfect tone for this kind of music. And when you listen to it, it's so smooth that you almost can't even tell where the phrases of music begins. And I just love how much emotion is just right here. Just listen to this. Just think about this, okay? The other thing that I really like is in there in the chorus, and I've pointed this out multiple times. A lot of times in the almost like psychology of music, usually if you're using something to write backwards, usually it's either like out of reality or it's like a dream, and you can kind of hear some stuff going off in the background that's kind of doing this reverse pull on the string. Yeah, really monstrous performance right there. Like, this is a song that if you were to put on, you could actually really see that, like, you could just be like, oh, this is a fun little, jazzy piece. It's got some nice flowy breeziness to it, but in reality, like, this actually has a lot of depth to it. I mean, every single thing has its own little piece written out, and yet it's just so perfectly all together at the same time. That's something from like the 60s and 70s they used to do. What do you want? Do you not like it? Stop teasing me, girl. Now you made me let my heart out here. 날 찍고 올라가. 다시 누군가 그리운데지. 닮았던 우리가 먼 이유 같은 날. Maybe could be slow dancing. Until the morning, we could be. So this is a little bit of a music lingo right here, but this is such a cool little thing that he has right in here, because when it says we could be, it raises up a little bit. It's like it's reaching for something. Then it goes down. It's almost like that want, that wish, and coming back to reality that might not be what it is. Jazz flute. The thing that I always find so interesting is when it comes to jazz music, usually it's one of two things. It's usually people that are avid in it, or it's something that reminds me of something that also comes out of like the 60s and 70s. There's a lot of groups back in that time that would actually use a lot of jazz in there as well. And I think that's something that's interesting is like, especially like with a lot of K-pop artists, and I think I would actually like to include V into that, is that for some reason, a lot of times they gravitate towards that old, like, it's almost like they're an old soul. And I think that's why a lot of times stuff like this is written. And I just really appreciate it because I think that honestly, this is a lot of the stuff that I remember like my dad listening to, in a sense, like a lot of the 60s and 70s with like this jazz flute and like Jethro Tull and maybe even like Moody Blues and stuff like that. And it just, I don't know. Like I said, V, he's the flex player. Like I was saying, he can just kind of do a little bit of everything, and kind of, honestly, it's like one of those things where it's like, it's not necessarily like he demands respect, but when you start listening to him, you almost cannot not give him the respect. So anyway, that's my little breakdown. Sorry if it was a little lengthy, and we'll see you for the next one. Bye.